right, we're going to talk about something really important that we didn't get to last time, which is exporting in Photoshop. How do you take your working Photoshop document and turn it into something usable? Something that you can print or bring into different Photoshop documents. So, I have all of the letters that I've masked out and have ready and transparent in a document with a bunch of artboards in Photoshop. So, I'll teach you how to quickly export something with a transparent background into your support folder. So then you can bring it into your kind of working poster document. Again, if you're working with artboards in Photoshop, to make sure that your background is transparent or clear, you can go into the Properties panel, which is usually right next to Layers. There's lots of different colors that you can choose, but make sure that it's transparent, and you can tell it is because it's a white and a gray checker. Now, to export, all you need to do is go to File, Export, Export As. And this opens up a new panel window. It's going to give a little think. You can be selective about what artboards you select. Maybe you're only selecting a few, maybe one or two. In this case, we're going to hit select all because we want to export everything. Our file format is going to be a PNG, which again is a transparent raster file. Our image size is in pixels, it could be in inches. You can adjust the scale, so when you're exporting something, you can actually make it bigger than what it actually is in Photoshop, or smaller, but we're going to leave it at 100%. And we're going to hit export. Now it's going to ask me, where do I actually want to export this to? And I'm going to put it in my support document. So, for example, I already have a folder that's named letters, but we're going to add a new one. So I'm going to have a new folder named letters underscore 2 and hit create. Now, all of my exported PNGs are going to be dropped into here. I'm going to hit open. It's going to have a nice little think about it. And now, in letters 2, it has all of my isolated letters ready to go. From here, I can drop them into my poster working file. It's not showing up for some reason. There we go. So, in order to drop something into Photoshop, it's pretty easy. You can drag and drop. So I can have like my letter A and drop it into my artboard. There's going to be kind of a no and a yes check mark at the very top to say, is this where you want to actually put it? You can hit yes or hit enter. And from here, this has your dropped file as a PNG, as a smart object. I can double click this, it opens into a.png, it's a totally separate file, but any edits I make to this is temporary. It's a non-destructive edit, which is great. So everything I've added into my working file, however, I'm going to delete this and get rid of this. Everything I've dropped into my actual poster working file is a smart object. So that is how you can kind of bring it into Photoshop. Additionally, I've had some people have issues kind of dragging and dropping it, especially if you're working with a PC. So you can do something like place. Place linked or place embedded, those can do similar things. Or there's things like import, a couple of different workarounds if you cannot do a drag and drop into Photoshop. But anyway, back to exporting. Let's say our poster is done, it's finished. We're ready to finally print and export it. Now, you don't want to print directly from Photoshop, usually because there's a lot of information in all of these different layers. You want to flatten it all down to make it a lot easier for the printer to do. I will also say that it's easier for kind of like printing to crash in Photoshop than it is in a program like Adobe Acrobat or Preview or any other kind of image or document opening application. So what we're going to do is File. There's actually a couple of different ways we can do this. You can do Save As, and that allows us, going into Final, we can save it out as a Photoshop PDF, which is one way to do it. I also like doing, selecting my artboard and going to File, Export Artboards to PDF. This opens another panel. I can browse where do I actually want to put it. I want to put it in Final. I can change the name of it if I want to. So keep in mind, you're going to be changing the name of this file to O1 Analog Alphabet and then your initial. So might as well just name it correctly here so that you don't forget later on. Artboard content only, export selected artboards. Again, I've only selected the one that I'm going to be printing instead of just both of them or my working one. Include all of this in the background. We're only printing one document, so none of this really matters, and I'm going to hit run. So it's going to give a little think, take a little while to go through. I usually find that this takes a little bit longer, but it usually just gives me the crispest result. Great. So now, if I go into Final File, I see that my PDF is basically ready to be printed. Perfect. From here, I can just open it up. Give me a second. There we go. I can open it up in Adobe Acrobat and print from here. All right, let me know if you have any additional questions about exporting.